Hey guys, all right, now I just wanted to give you guys a little, we've spoken about this here and there on the live streams. I want to give you guys a little bit of an update on where things stand with the adpocalypse. Now, I can't speak for any other YouTubers. I assume YouTubers that are, similar in size or whatever content to me are going through the same type of things. But I wanted to give you guys an idea and give you my impressions as to why I think it's happening. Again, YouTube isn't transparent to the creators at all as far as what their actual goals are, as far as what their actual processes are for how ads are distributed amongst us, so on and so forth. So we're left to just take the clues that we can find and make our own conclusions. And I'm going to make my own. But first, let me show you exactly that. I think this is a really good representation of where the adpocalypse stands. Now, I'm not going to go into all the details. Most of you guys know what happened. Several months ago, was it in about March, several big advertisers on YouTube pulled out because some ads supposedly their ads were being served among hate speech videos, stuff like that. The Wall Street Journal pumped it up to make it much of a bigger deal than it is, especially numbers wise, as did some publications in England, and YouTube just immediately went bonkers, oh, we're going to take care of it all, so on and so forth. So from that point, everybody's ad revenue just fell off the cliff. Now we're into July. From what I've been able to determine, a lot of the advertisers are back, and certainly the percentage of advertising revenue they have coming into YouTube, as far as I can determine, and I feel comfortable in this, it's not back to 100% for YouTube, but it's not down an awful lot. But let's see how our channel's doing. Now, what I did was I selected January of this past year, January 2017, because January is always considered the slowest month of the year for ad revenue on YouTube. It has been for years. Again, you can find that. You can find that information anywhere on the internet. You don't have to take my word for it. But I wanted to make this fair, so I'm going to compare where we are now to January. I'm not going to compare it to November and December, which are huge months, because that would make it look even more ridiculous. I'm going to compare it to the weakest month. Now, let me call this up here. Now this is, let me move this over. This is our channel's views back in January 2017. As you can see, running right around at the beginning of the month, 100K, took a little dip all the way down 75, but then back up over 100. And then that fall off as you go into February. That's typical. Again, it's the weakest month of the year generally. So by the end of the month, we're at a little over 70K. For the beginning of the month, we're averaging around 100. Now, so given that, take a look at this, kind of commit that to memory a little bit. It's like, Curtis, you didn't say there's going to fucking be memory and stuff. What is this, a quiz? But through most of the month, around 100K, dropping off near the end. Now, let's look at how many of these views were monetized in January. Let me call that graphic up. These are the monetized playbacks. Now, at the beginning of the month, especially when it's slow, we started out a little under 27, then we went up over 30, about 30,000, reached to 36,000, peaked up here at 44,000. But even as things fell off, now as you saw, there were only like 75,000 views on these given days at the end of January. We're still at 27,000 views. So let's figure that out. That's better than 1 out of every 3 videos had an ad on it. Okay, it was a monetized playback. Better than 1 out of every 3. And you'll see that carries along when we're at around 100,000. We're typically around 30 to 33,000. But 1 out of every 3 seems to be, I think you guys will agree, a fair representation of exactly where we were. Now let's look at what's happened from late June into July. First, let me get this. Okay, these are our views from June 17th, July 14th. As you can see, much bigger and more solid than they were in January. Well over 100,000 average, because we're bottoming out for most of the month right at around 100,000. Had a little dip down to 90 or so, but then coming back up again. And as a matter of fact, the last couple of days we've come up even some more, back to 100. So averaging over 100,000, I'd say, again, off the top of my head, up at our peak here, we're at 120. That's probably an average of maybe 105,000 or so for the last 28 days. Now, that's not the entire month. These are all based on 28 days. I should bring that up, but the math is still the same. All right, now let's see how many of those views. This is the fun part. Let's see how many of those were monetized. How many of them had an ad? Okay, started out. Now, this is where in the middle of June, I thought, okay, YouTube's finally getting back on track. We're getting close to back to where we were. The ads weren't as good. See, the ads that pay the most, of course, are the ones that you can't skip or whatever. They're the quality ads. There weren't as many of them, but even though the numbers were getting close, we peaked at about 20,000. Now, 20,000 monetized playbacks for 100,000 views, that's 1 out of every 5. It's not back to our 1 out of every 3. The ads aren't quite as good quality, but hey, you're getting back in the ballpark, and it gives you some signs that, okay, things are going to pick back up again. Well, now we bounced down a little bit here. We went down to 13. Even after we're at 20, 2 days later, we're at 13. So it's like, all right, I understand there's going to be some play in all this. We don't have anything even close to any type of normalcy or any type of continuity in the views, but they're getting back there. We made a little Batman thing here where we're at, that's about 18, dropped down to 16, back to 18. But still, as we're getting in July, I'm thinking, okay, this is pretty good. Now, July should be a good month because that's when all the major movies come out. It's usually a good month for advertising. You guys can see what happened. All of a sudden, we're down to 14. We're down to 13. Pop back up a little bit. Okay, maybe it was just a temporary glitch. Nope, we're on the downslide. Now we're down to 10. We're down to 9. We're down to 8. We're holding right now at about 8,500 or so. This is on, for most of this, at or near or over 100,000 views. So when you start talking about 8,000 monetized playback for 100,000 views, now we're talking not quite 1 out of every 12 videos has a view. And this is the way that we're moving as we're getting farther from the YouTube boycott. We're moving down the scale. Now, I'm not going to bore you guys with stats all day. You can trust me on it. I compared this to the weakest month of the year. If I went back to last July, that would make this look even more sick, more pathetic. So that's what I wanted to show you guys as to what I've been talking about how the things are turning down again. Now I can get more centered because I know you want to see this pretty face. Why do I think it's happening? Well, since Google purchased YouTube, they haven't been very good. If they're trying to hide what their goal is, they're not doing a good job of hiding it. They don't really like us being at-home creators. They want to be a TV network. That's what they want. Google wants upper-end material made by real production companies, and that's what Google TV is all about now. They've made several different forays into this area, but up to this point, every time they tried to do it, you guys, well, no, not just you guys, us guys, aside from being a YouTuber, I like watching YouTube videos, we stopped them because we don't support the other crap. We like watching the home creative videos. That's what built YouTube. We like watching, I mean, I do, I assume most of you guys do because you're here with us. I like watching some guy, whether he works in his basement or in his attic or me in an extra room in his house, making videos, having fun, and really making a connection with the people who are enjoying his videos. That's what makes YouTube fun. Getting professional people, getting Kevin Hart to do a series on YouTube TV is not going to have that same kind of connection. You're not going to be able to talk to Kevin. You're not going to be able to get in arguments with Kevin like we get in arguments with each other sometimes. If you come rip on Kevin's show in the comments, you don't even get the satisfaction of where I might come back and rip back at somebody. It's just more TV. There's plenty of that out there, and it's dying because more people are watching YouTube, the home creators. But YouTube really doesn't like us. So what I'm trying to say is those graphs I showed you tells me there's a lot more advertisements out there. There's a lot more ads to be served. They're not getting served to YouTubers like me. I mean, we're certainly not one of the giants, but we're not tiny. We're over 100,000 subscribers. We do 3 million views a month. And they're not getting served to someone like me. So they're all being served elsewhere. I would imagine to the big name brands, to the Vivo videos, to anything with a big name brand. They don't want people like us around. That's all there is to it. I mean, it's not, to me, it's not crying the blues or something. It is what it is. That's their business model. What I think is going to happen, I honestly believe YouTube TV is going to be a miserable failure just on past track record. I don't think people are interested in it. They'll eventually probably have to come back to the people like me and say, well, that didn't work, so you guys can have some ads again. But it's always going to be this constant battle. And that's why I'm trying to I'm hoping that someday we can get to where we're just what they call fan funded. I hate calling people fans because it seems like, I don't know why. I hope you guys are, by the definition of the term, fans of the channel. But I hope more than that, I hope we all feel like it's a community element, because that's what I've always wanted. And when you call somebody fans, it's like, well, no, it's not fans. It's part of the gang. You're just all here together. I'm just the, I'm the monkey. I'm the dancing monkey with the cymbals. I'm just the guy that we're watching, but I'm just a part of the crew like the rest of you. So that's what I'm looking for. You guys have already supported the channel financially between Patreon and Super Chats. If it weren't for you guys, with all the support you've put into those two places, we'd probably be putting out about 1 video a day. As it is, we've had to cut back. You see, it's a struggle for me to get on and do our Rift streams. I don't get to live stream as much, and unfortunately, the gaming channels had to have been left behind. That's all due to this ADPOCALYPSE, because I spend my time, now that I was doing those things, doing writing and other jobs I take on the side to make up for the difference in the revenue that I was getting from YouTube. And again, very important to note, I don't use YouTube money to feed my family or to pay my mortgage. It's our extra money. But especially now that I'm retired, I've always had this goal: when I retire, when I have money to do the things with my family I want to do. So I take that very seriously. So if YouTube, is falling down like it has, I go replace it elsewhere. I'm a big believer you can always make money. If you have ambition and you want to get out and get after it, you can always make money. It's just that right now, YouTube is not the ideal place, so I've had to replace some of that time doing things that do pay me better. So if we ever get and if you guys want to go look at the Patreon right now, we got Patreon links in the description of the vids. It's in our banner. Even if you can't do Patreon, that's fine. You'll see that we're doing quite well. You guys have supported us there. Great. I think right now our Patreons, I like everything to be transparent, so it's all there so you can read. I don't hide the what we have donated to us on Patreon. I think we're at $480 or something like that a month, which is phenomenal. Again, it's what's helping allow me to work, or not, I shouldn't even say work, but to do YouTube as much as I do, because this is fun. Writing and the other stuff I do for money is grinding shit. But I've also added at Patreon, I've added a level. If we can get a corporate sponsor, we'll see. I'm gonna be looking for it. If we can get a corporate sponsor who alone will take us to that goal of $3,000 a month, then, or if we hit that $3,000 goal a month, for every month we're in it, everything will be able to change the channel. For any month we maintain that, we will be able to go back to making gaming videos again, the Rift streams, more live streaming, because I'm going to put everything else aside and be able to just do this again. Plus, there won't be any ads, because I'm going to disable ads on all the videos we put out. The only advertising would be if we do get a corporate sponsor, that would be their advertising, and then I would be coming to you guys asking you to please make sure and support whoever our corporate sponsor might be, to make sure that we can keep doing videos this way. It will also take out a lot of the restrictions on content for me, because I mean, I can't put up stuff that's going to get I can't put up nudity and shit where they're just going to close the channel. But I don't care about what we talk about. I don't care about the phrasing within the titles of the videos anymore, where they're going to come. See, because YouTube will come and take away your monetization. That in itself, on an individual video, it's not a big deal. As you saw, you don't make much in ad money anyway. That's not a big deal. What I'm afraid of, knowing YouTube the way they are, is if you get too many videos demonetized, there's nobody going to make me believe they're not going to take a harder look at your channel and say, you know what, let's just stop serving him so many ads, as if we're getting so many to begin with. But if we can become purely fan funded, that's the goal I've set. If we do $3,000 a month at Patreon, all the ads come off, and I go back doing just YouTube, to where we can do all the things we like to do. That's all. I want to give you guys an update on the ADPOCALYPSE and let you know why I'm doing things the way I am. Because when I have a Patreon set up and stuff, I do like you guys to understand, if you support us there, and if you support us through our Super Chats, where the money goes and why it's there. I never want to give anybody the impression that, and I know this is true for some YouTubers, and I feel for them, if YouTube went away tomorrow, I certainly hope it doesn't happen, but if it did, it's not going to make any difference to, again, what I eat for dinner every day. I'll be fine. I pay my bills with my, I'm retired now. I'm enjoying being retired. I pay with my bills are paid with my retirement money. My wife works, and That's how we get by. This is what I do for our extra money. So if it ever gets to where that extra money is supported strictly by fan funding, quote unquote, then all bets are off. And we'll probably be bringing back some stuff that's not probably. We'll be bringing back stuff that's way more edgy, which you guys know my sense of humor. That's edgy's kind of a kind word to describe it. Criminal would probably be more accurate, unless you're law enforcement. Then it's not criminal. Talk to you guys later. It's not.